Hi, I'm Chris the Counsellor, and in today's video I'm going to be looking at the self-concept. So the self-concept is a really important theory within person-centred counselling. Not only does it inform how we see and understand our clients and everyone else in the world for that matter, but it also informs how we see and understand ourselves. It's also a central part of why Rogers said that some of us may experience psychological tension and anxiety. I'm going to say more about these later on in the video, but first of all I just want to give an outline and a definition of what the self-concept is and also what it's often made up of. So a large part of the self-concept is often made up of conditions of worth and introjections. Now these are quite simply beliefs and values that we take on from external sources and we begin to believe them as our own beliefs and values. Now this is most prominent whilst we're growing up, and for that reason it usually comes from our primary caregivers. Because we seek love and acceptance more than anything else, especially when we're growing up, we will tend to change our behaviour, our feelings and our actions to make sure that they're more in line with the messages that we get from external sources as we're growing up. We will constantly be getting messages from our caregivers about how they believe we should be and behave in the world. And because we crave their love and acceptance, we will change our behaviours to be more in line with these values. To give you an example of this to make it clearer, let's say I was running along as a little boy, I fell over and I cut my knee. I started to cry, I was in pain, and I wanted comfort from my parents. Now let's say for example that my parents said to me, "Come on, pull yourself together, big boys don't cry, be strong and brave." These are very strong messages and conditions of worth that I'm getting from my parents. What they're saying to me implicitly is that it is wrong to cry, be upset and show your emotions, and instead it's better to be big, strong and brave. And this is a way that I would get more love and acceptance from my parents. Now although this might be seen as just one example, what's more often is that I will constantly get this message in lots of different ways from my parents if it's their beliefs and values. I might be told, stop being dramatic, don't cry over spilt milk, pull yourself together. I'm going to constantly be getting these messages, and as a result I'm getting the message from them that that is the right way to be in the world. That's how I should behave, feel and act to gain their love and acceptance. Now what often happens as a result of this is that I will go further towards their beliefs and values, and as a result I will begin to deny my own experience. I will begin to listen to what they've told me over and above what I'm actually feeling and wanting inside. And this is what Rogers says causes psychological tension and anxiety. Now, a more popular example of this would be Elsa from Frozen. Now, as much as I'm sure you'd like to hear me sing, I'm just going to say some of the lyrics to make this point. So when she's singing about conceal, don't feel, be the good girl you always had to be, these are perfect examples of introjections and conditions of worth. And these will be messages about how she feels she has to be in the world to be loved and accepted. Now, as you'll know from the film, this plays out in a different way, but you can see that the tension that this creates in Elsa as the film progresses. The more that she moves away from how she actually feels and wants to act, the more tension that is created. Now, I'm not going to give any spoilers for the film, but it might be a good one to watch to see the idea of the self-concept, conditions of worth, and introjections. Now, although this is most prominent whilst we're growing up, what tends to happen is that we hold on to these beliefs and values and they form our self-concept. And as a result, we try and stay in line with this as much as we're able through all our experiences in the world. Now, in the example I gave before, I might get the message that I shouldn't cry and I should be brave and strong, and that might be a message that I receive as a child, but this would also play out as an adult. Whenever I'm experiencing emotion or difficult circumstances as an adult, then I would also be playing out this message and behaving in ways which I'd been taught as a child. Now, this is also the basis of why we experience psychological tension and anxiety. We have our self-concept, which is how we see ourselves as people, and this is often made up of messages that we've received from society and our primary caregivers. On the other hand, we have what's sometimes called our organismic self, and this is basically what our organic experiences are, so what we truly feel without this being contaminated by messages from others. This also links to what Rogers called the organismic valuing process, and this is basically how we evaluate our feelings and experiences organically. That is to say, how we truly feel about things and how we truly want to act. Now, the stronger our self-concept is, and the more that we feel we have to stay in line with this, the further we move away from our organismic self. And this is what creates the psychological tension and anxiety, because what we are doing is denying and distorting our true experience and our true desires. And this creates a lot of tension in people. The more that we act in line with how we feel we should be, the more that we deny how we actually feel. And this is what causes most of our problems. Now, when this tension becomes too great, this is often a time that people would access therapy. They may not understand why this is the case, but they would realise that they may be experiencing more anxiety than usual, or let's say they're realising things like they can't sleep like they used to be able to, their mood might be low, they're eating less, whatever it might be. These are all signs of the psychological tension and anxiety that Rogers talks about. Now, what Rogers says usually happens in therapy is that if we're given a space where we're truly accepted and understood by another, then we can begin to unpick our self-concept, how we truly feel about things, and how we really want to be in the world. We can begin to explore some of those parts of ourselves that we have denied because of the messages that we've been given by society and our primary caregivers whilst we've been growing up. As a result of this, what will happen is that our self-concept becomes more realistic and in line with our organic experience. So rather than them moving further apart and creating psychological tension and anxiety, they actually move closer together, which creates us to be a more congruent person in the world and also experience less psychological tension and anxiety. Now, it can be really helpful to know what your own self-concept is. So an exercise you might want to do is make a list of how you would describe yourself as a person, and maybe check out which ones of these feel true to yourself and more in touch with reality, and maybe notice those parts of yourselves that have come from messages that you've received from your parents and society about how you should be in the world and what is good or right. This can really shed some light on who you really want to be and the behaviours and aspects of yourself that you're still playing out in line with others' expectations. I hope this has given you a good overview of the self-concept and the importance of it, of how we behave and feel in the world. I also hope it points out the importance of it in the therapeutic process and relationship. If you have any questions from this video, then please leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about the animation, because it's the first time I've used it in a video. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video, and if you haven't already, then please subscribe to the channel. But most of all, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video.